have the pleasure and the privilege of introducing our closing keynote speaker for the day, the Deputy Assistant Administrator at USAID in charge of the South Asia region, Ann Marie Yastishock. Ann Marie is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service, and she has worked at USAID in several senior positions for numerous years in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. She originally hails from Pennsylvania. And her detailed bio, like I mentioned in the morning, is available via the web link that was sent to you by Gabriel last night. Ann Marie will be taking a couple of questions after her remarks. And I personally have had the pleasure of interacting with her on several South Asia-related meetings and roundtables over the past couple of years. So we are delighted to have you, Ann Marie. Please come up on stage.
So thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here today with all of you. I want to talk a little bit about what USAID is doing and also how we're working with not only the diaspora, but also the Indian government and how we've worked in India for over 70 years. So for us, the U.S.-India development relationship started prior to even USAID actually being formed. And the development assistance has played a critical role in supporting a strong U.S.-India relationship. In the 1960s, USAID helped India to usher in the Green Revolution that fought widespread famine and boosted India's rice production by nearly 50%. And in 2015, we worked together to launch the green building movement in India, which has further helped to open the clean energy market. So we've really have a really great partnership with India. As we've worked, USAID's programs has evolved progressively over the decades from emergency provision of food to infrastructure development, capacity building of key Indian institutions, support for the opening of the Indian economy, and more. Over time, our programming and relationship has shifted in response to India's development success, as well as its role as a regional and global leader. We're currently in the process of developing a new strategy to reflect this evolution, and it's a strategy that really leverages India's vibrant culture of social entrepreneurship and its robust private sector to address development challenges. So I was very interested in some of the comments that your the panel members were making over some of your constraints, because those are things that we're looking at now. So our approach has pivoted also to recognize India's leadership as a major donor in its own right. So USAID and the government of India are increasingly working together to address regional and global development issues. Over the years, India has made truly impressive development gains. Today, our partnership aims to ensure these gains are felt among people of all the communities and throughout India's states. As we continue our work in India and with the Indian government, we're expanding the focus of our partnership and our activities. I'd like to focus, though, on 3 key priority areas that we share with the Indian government. And these joint priorities include combating TB, improving water and sanitation, and addressing the nexus between the environment, energy security, and health issues. So on TB, USAID is supporting the government's national campaign for a TB-free India by 2025, one of the largest and most important TB initiatives in the world. India is the home to more than 1/4 of the global TB burden, and to more TB and multi-drug resistant TB than any other country in the world. In 2017, we demonstrated a model to train private healthcare providers in 6 districts of West Bengal to help them adopt national TB standards. As a result, TB reporting from those providers increased from 100 to nearly 8,000 cases in just 1 year. Yep. Absolutely. We also provided technical expertise to the government by testing new ideas and innovations to reduce maternal, child, and infant mortality that I heard you talking about earlier. On improving water and sanitation, USAID supports India's efforts to ensure widespread access to safe, affordable, reliable water, with over 500 million, which over 500 million people in the country lack. In 2014, USAID partnered with Hyderabad-based Water Health on a project to alleviate drinking water problems in Bangalore. The project provided safe and purified drinking water to about 155,000 people in 25 areas in urban slums. The project's success caught the attention of Citibank and Gap and other major businesses, which invested in the initiative, allowing it to expand to 65 water centers. These 65 water centers, as I speak, are providing some 325,000 people with clean drinking water. Finally, on addressing the nexus between the environment, energy security, and health issues, as many of you know, India is in the midst of a massive construction boom. With buildings consuming nearly 33% of energy in India, the increase in building construction is a critical environmental health and energy security concern. USAID again has partnered with India's largest public energy service company, the Energy Efficiency Services Limited, to retrofit about 10,000 buildings to make them highly energy efficient. So really what USAID brings to the table is that our technical expertise and convening power to build coalitions across academia, civil society, and the private sector to incubate and test innovative development solutions has really proven in India. What we have seen is that once a proof of concept is demonstrated, the government and all the communities are able to scale up these proven development solutions. India is an indispensable leader in the region and the world, and USAID is laser focused on helping India identify opportunities to share its development success with other countries. For example, we are looking at how best to support India's Development Partnership Administration to carry out development programs in South Asia, to Africa, and to the Pacific. Just last month, USAID and the governments of India and Afghanistan hosted the third Passage to Prosperity trade show in Delhi to raise the profile of Afghanistan's exports and identify opportunities for increased private sector investment from India and the United States. And at the beginning of November, we're also hosting the Central Asia Trade Forum, where India has also played a major role in signing deals with the Central Asian countries as well. But the role that you all play, the diaspora, is crucial to India's continuing to make such enormous strides on its development agenda. An example that shows this incredible impact is our partnership with the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, or AAPI. In 2018, we signed an agreement to work together to utilize the 100,000 strong network of physicians of Indian origin living in the United States to support health programs in India. Together, we're engaging AAPI's network of private charitable clinics for TB awareness, detection, and treatment, and we're exploring opportunities for collaboration between U.S. and Indian medical schools to exchange cutting-edge healthcare solutions. And our work with the Indian diaspora isn't anything new. Previously, we've partnered with the Calvert Foundation on the India Investment Initiative, an investment platform that has enabled the diaspora to fund enterprises in India by earning both a social and financial return. This initiative was one of the first of its kind and mobilized about $14 million for social enterprises in India. India has made extraordinary progress, and we at USAID are really proud to elevate our partnership with the people and the government of India. The U.S.-India partnership looks to leverage Indian expertise and resources at every opportunity to achieve greater impact and to further elevate India's role as a leader in the region. And as you can see, there's still much that we can do, and working together, there's much that we can accomplish. So we look forward to continuing to engage and strengthen our relationship with all of you here today, as well as USAID and India plan for the next phase of our partnership. So I would like to hear from you over some of the things where you think that USAID could be really doing more, and also on some of the innovative partnerships that you've been discussing, at least in this last panel, and some of those challenges, because I think that's the next step in where USAID goes as we continue our development relationship with India. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to take a few questions, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Anne Marie. It's a very beautifully, stated purposeful activity that USAID is doing, and I'm glad you're doing it so well in health and water and energy. I just want to mention that USAID was also very much involved. I'm from the Indian Foreign Service. I've been secretary in the government. And I know about the USAID activities long back. When we had the Operation Flood, which was the milk revolution in India, one of the very top-level experts from USAID was involved with Professor Kurian for a long time with the National Dairy Development Board, which transformed the landscape in India for milk production from a sort of a country which was importing milk powder and milk products to a country which became self-sufficient and started exporting these products to other countries. And USAID contribution in that was very, very significant. So another round of applause for USAID. And
Thank you.
just to mention that we have set up something called the Smart Village Development Fund for delivery of projects on the ground level. It's a sort of an aggregator entity for various organizations which are working on the ground in India. And we are planning a conference on February 14th, 15th in New Delhi. And we send an invite to USAID also, whether they'd be interested to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a question here in the front of the room. Megha, and then you, the gentleman right behind you after that.
Usable water in the world is very limited. Though three-quarter of the earth is covered with water. Are we doing something for that? Only less than 1% water you can drink and make food out of with it. So are we doing some sort of search for that or not? Because it is almost impossible to take salt out of water because of the chemistry.
Right. So we have been working with our mission in New Delhi to look at new programs as far as water management and looking at ways that we can improve the water management systems so that the precious resources of water are protected. We haven't gotten to the point of doing anything on desalinization in India itself. That is something that we've actually done in Maldives. But it is something we can explore as well and look at other technologies. And this, again, is where the Indian innovation and combined with the development assistance as well as the private sector can look at these issues on a broader scale. But yes, water management is something that the mission has been looking at.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Megha. I'm going to ask a question on behalf of the kind of smaller nonprofits in the room. Obviously, we understand that USAID has to focus on areas of scale, and we totally understand that. Could you just shed a little light on what that means and what that priorities look like? If my question is basically, if we see a runway for scale in something that they're working on, at what point do I say, oh wait, now is the time to reach out? And that's basically the question I'm asking kind of on behalf of all the kind of small and medium sized nonprofits.
Great. Great question. So there's a couple different ways. One of the things that we've been looking at particularly is expanding our partner base and really focusing on a lot of smaller local entities to be able to partner with. So there's opportunities there that if you see something and have a concept for it, you can always submit concept papers to our missions. That's one thing. Sometimes we put out what are called broad agency announcements, which invites people to come in on certain projects to actually partner with us. So that's another opportunity. We've also been working with some of the AmChams over looking at, ideas that we can provide funding through the Millennium Challenge, I think it is called, that allows for seed funding and some money for incubators and to accelerate those ideas up. So that's another opportunity. But I would say that, if you have an idea and it's a concept that you think is worth doing, contact the mission and sit down with them. That is I think one of the most unique things of our mission in New Delhi is that they are on the cutting edge of really doing partnerships and looking for those innovative ideas where we could take it to scale or partner with a private sector entity and looking at something that we're doing. If it's something that we're already working on, like TB, like we've signed the AAPI agreement, those are possibilities there too. So I will say that health is our biggest programs in our bilateral relationship with India, particularly in TB. Water sanitation and hygiene is another one, and that comes under our health funding. But we also have a number of programs on sustainable landscapes, which is some of the water work. We have energy programs that are looking at energy efficiency and renewable energies. So it's really, there's a plethora of activities out there. And so I really suggest making those contacts at the mission.
We have time for one lightning question, just 1 minute. You guys see the mic in your hands?
Well, I'm probably the only TB researcher here as an academic, and I'm really excited that the USAID has partnered on many fronts. I'm actually a researcher, so I do clinical trials and studies. So my question to you is, from USAID, research has often been sort of separated out from capacity building, development, service delivery, and yet I know that there's been investment in doing actually research with trying to get access to new therapies and new prevention approaches. What's the strategy other than sort of case detection that you're doing now in India? Do you sort of see supporting research? Because one of the biggest things in India to adopt new treatment paradigms is to actually have data from India, not data that's generated outside of India. There's sort of the need to have India-specific data and patient populations involved. So could you speak to that, and what is USAID doing on that front?
So what USAID has been mostly doing is really addressing and making sure that people are tested. That's really been our focus, bringing people in for testing, working and providing the Gen X machines that are able to detect the TB in the shortened time frame, but also with regard to what type of TB, and then to look at treatment, but also to then focus on some of the areas of stigma that go along with TB. Our CDC colleagues, however, in India have really been focusing on the research and working in conjunction with our Global Health Bureau here in Washington. So there's kind of a two-prong approach. CDC has been doing much of the research, and then also USAID analyzing it with some of the diaspora groups like AAPI as well. And so that's kind of where our focus has been, is really looking at detection. I hope that answers your question, but we could talk after this if you'd like.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.